Ba-doom. Howdy, folks. It's been a few days. Where are we at? Well, let me pull up the current animatics situation in Blender 2.8, which I guess I have a few things I have to. So basically, I did this animatic, and it's kind of in process. And somewhat to my surprise, I have to confess, I haven't been loving Blender 2.8 for ink and paint as much as I thought I would. I really thought I would really love it because of the fill functions are pretty good, and I like the smoothing on the ink pen. But I do, I don't completely love this, and I know people have posted things about how to fix that. I've played around with leak size and whatnot, and when I just pull back from it, I'm not totally sold. Not totally sold. It's a great tool. Gonna use it. It's all good. But anyway, getting back to, I'm gonna just go ahead and quit that. Getting back to this instance of Blender, what I'm once I got the animatic sort of blocked in, pencil test, if you will, went through, inked it, and then what I'm doing is changing my preview range in order to isolate each individual shot and then go ahead and finish them up. So, well, here's what happened with this particular shot. This shot I thought was fine, and I probably should actually have the movie or the show edit. I should probably have that open so I can refer back to that as well. Bear with me here, folks, just for half a second. Okay, so, and this is the shot you just saw. Here it is in Blender. So anyway, I got to the next shot. And the next shot was this one where Zen is basically saying, you care to explain exactly what's going on here, or something to that effect. So I did the whole shot in Blender, and I need to hide this. So here it was, and I think part of it was Blender, but part of it was the staging and the acting, and I just wasn't sold that I had done a great job on this shot. Okay, he says Akari. Care to explain what exactly is going on? And then in the animatic, there's this thing where he sort of looks at her, glances down, and because she's obviously in a compromised position, because as you might know if you've been following this for a while, that when this battle takes place, I guess way back here actually. Okay, I should probably show this shot. Okay, so there's this dramatic thing happens, but her dress rips, and so this guy thinks he's going to be the hero. He gets kicked, and this guy swipes and cuts her dress. So this is not going to be an R-rated show, but I did think it was kind of funny that her dress got ripped. And so she's got this situation where she's having to deal with carrying out a battle at the same time that she's kind of not wanting to lose her clothes. That's the situation. And we don't know who this is at this point, but her friend, her brother, her associate, whatever he is to her, had not shown up, as these ninjas have invaded her room, and all of a sudden he shows up out of nowhere, clunks these two guys on the head, and he's clearly not concerned or intimidated by what's going on here. So he's like, you can't explain what's going on. So, as I said, I didn't feel I did the greatest job ever. So I decided, I'm going to go back to Opentoonz and just redraw that, restage it. And after I did that, it went through a couple revisions. My partner looked at it, and we realized we really needed to have him smiling. The trick of it, this was a tricky shot because trying to get the attitude right so that he looks sort of gently amused not stressed out, not hyped up, but just this whole thing's kind of funny to him, was definitely tricky. It was tricky to capture the attitude. But I think from this shot to this shot really works much, much better. I feel a lot better about the outcome. And now we're going to be going to this shot where she rants and raves that these ninjas were trying to kidnap her. Okay, so bear with me, folks, because I just got a text. It's Mother's Day. And got a little bit of communication coordination going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to do the same thing for this shot, just because I'm not totally sold on the look here. It's not bad, but it's not. It's one of those deals where you go, okay, it's not bad, but it's not right. You know what I mean? It's not. Looks like my webcam's slightly out of alignment. Okay, so let's solve it this way. Let's go back here to this shot. Okay, we've got the... Okay, now I'm a little confused. Oh, I see. We must have some stuff that is hidden at this point. Because... Where are my ninjas? Okay, I get that their layers are locked, but we should still see them. It's been a few days since I revisited this scene. So what I'm going to do actually here, just so I don't drive myself nuts, you know what? Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to jump into Opentoonz and redo this shot. It's only going to take a second. So let's do a new scene, and let's save it as hello. And we're going to save this as whatever it is, which I guess is, that was 110, so I guess this would be 111. So 0111. Boom. Okay. So now we're literally starting from scratch. So we'll use the animatic as just a template. You know, we've got these two ninjas. Again, I'm not totally sold on their poses either. So let's just go from here. Let's block in the shot. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my fave pencil, and since this is going to be for blocking in, I'm just going to use a reddish color. Okay, so we've got this window happening here, and we've got essentially ninjas 1 and 2 here in the scene, and we've got Akari in the background. Now let's think about this for a minute. What if we did a close-up of Akari, and then we panned over to these guys? Which would kind of make sense, because technically we should be seeing them in that shot. Shh, that'll be our secret. Okay, I'm thinking about entertainment value here. What if... Let's rethink this for a minute. What if... Yes, I'm thinking she goes, these ninjas were trying to kidnap me. And she kind of points back behind her, and the camera pans over to show these guys kind of sitting there waiting to see what is Zen going to do. Because they don't really know. The only thing they do know is that this guy took two of their ninja buddies, grabbed them both by their heads, and made a coconut sound and knocked them both out in one swipe. So they know he's a tough guy. He's no sissy. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rethink this a little bit. I'm going to go boink, and let's block in Akari, okay? And let's just say we're going to block her in as a really tight close-up. Okay, so that might be too close, but because I think I have a tendency, I always had this when I was making films, I always have the tendency to frame things more closely than I really should. So I want to be cautious about that, and I can do so by simply going like that and getting framed up. So I'm hitting the S key and then just whipping her into shape there, folks. So, alright, so now she's got her hair thing, her little blah 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 hair thing she's got. So let's draw a guideline here. Yeah. Alright. So now I have kind of the classic problem of I'm hitting the H key, by the way. I do have a definite proclivity to draw my characters you know, a little lopsided if I'm not careful. So, alright, so another thing about Akari is I do have the tendency to draw her eyes a little bit too high if I'm not careful. And that just is because, you know, this is an anime, and my natural tendency is to draw in more of a comic booky style. And so I have to really... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Why am I being stupid here? Why don't I do this? Why don't I draw her head straight up and down? Did I get that right? It's hard to judge. I should turn the grid on. That would make it easier. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it this way. Okay. That way I can... Now we know with Akari's eyes, her eyes are essentially trapezoids. Okay. So she's kind of excited. She's a little worked up. And I really want a lot of energy in her mouth for this shot. I know I'm making faces. That's what we do when we're drawing characters. We tend to make faces, right? Okay, so since this is theoretically a more or less symmetrical shot, not that it's actually symmetrical, but it's kind of sort of close. Should be able to do something like that. Okay. Her hair. And her. Oh yeah, and she's got, I always forget her pigtails. I don't know if that's really what they should be called, but no. I want normal right now. Okay. Something about this area up here feels wrong to me. Oh, come on. Okay, so now what I really want is for her to be looking directly out. Alright, time to refer back. So yeah, this is actually not... It's not a horrible rendering of her. Okay, now let's duplicate that and come back here, and I don't know how long this is going to be held for, but it's going to be a hold. So we want this look of consternation that'll be held for a while, and then she's going to launch into this emotion dump about the fact that she's this outrageous attack by these Cursed ninjas. And by the way, I could leave the the drawing. I think I've got it flipped right now, by the way. I could leave the drawing straight straight up and down and not angled, because I can always use the animate tool to just take the whole shot and turn it later. Reposition things a little bit. Okay. I really just kind of feel like that's kind of sort of working. But I don't really love her expression. I feel like it ought to be more intense. So we'll make it more intense. Okay, something about it though doesn't feel right to me. I'm really not liking that. We can kill this at this point. We don't need that running. Let's just look at the edit. Let's go back here. Okay, now this is better. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I'm just being a silly goose. So this issue of her I'm just gonna widen her. Okay. Next drawing. Isn't that weird how you can, you know, it's like you know the character, you've drawn him a zillion times, but yet, yeah. Okay. Now, I'm gonna say, let's just add a duplicate here. Okay, we're gonna probably go with something like that, and then I'm just gonna rock and roll here, and I'm thinking that I'm just gonna draw her. This will all make sense shortly. Okay. So now I can take this, stretch this down here. Kind of want it something like that. But I want to be able to have a little bit of motion on it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm saying a lot today, by the way. I don't know if you noticed, but yes, I'm saying like a lot. My sniffer. Okay. So now that makes sense. And now what we need is, let's just draw our ninjas. Hope this will all make sense later, because what I'm going to do is first of all, I've got to put the hold in here for this shot. And then we're going to have this sort of voice, or yeah, lip sync kind of thing going on. This hand will be off to the side, but it'll be going like this. And then we need to have our ninjas in the background. So I'm gonna just envision the doorway and say Ninja 2 is gonna go here. He's basically on the floor. Excuse me. Ninja 1 is here, and I want him to look a little bit more, well, let's just say badass, I guess, than he did in the previous iteration. Alright, so as usual, I've drawn my guys too big. Never ceases to amaze me how framing of characters can almost, you can almost always make them smaller in the shot, and the shot works just as well. You know, I don't know why I have this proclivity to draw characters bigger and frame them closer than the shot would actually warrant, but I've always had that tendency. And see, same thing. If I want it to be full body shot, we're not even close to small enough. It's amazing. It's amazing to me. I don't know if it's amazing to you, but okay. So let's create a sort of a gravity concept, so that there's some sense that his weight is being borne by the way he's standing there. Okay. And okay, so I'm gonna follow this through, even though I know already, I can see that it's wrong, but that's okay. What I'm gonna do is go like this and just grab the S key like that, and we'll just scale that a bit, probably go a little wider, but okay. So if he's gonna be there, that's why I love the S key. I love the fact that we can just make these sort of modifications. So Ninja 2's knee's going to be there. Let's just say his other knee is there. So we'll have him sort of crouching. Alright. And he's the one that has the spiky hair. Okay. Not totally sold on this. Like that better. This guy probably needs to be slightly smaller. And if we step back and look at the framing, probably about like that. And then I would say that puts the window, if you will, right about there. And so now if we go ahead and put these guys behind her, boink, boink. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set some keyframes to start out this whole thing. Just get everything kind of sort of positioned where I want. Okay, so I'm going to move her over. And actually, how do we want to do this? Do we want to have it like this, and then when she starts ranting? I think so. Let's do it. Alright, so now just to be safe, let's give ourselves, it's going to be more than a second, but let's give it like a second. Actually, that's only 12 frames. Don't be silly, Dave. Okay, now, Opentoonz, you're being a little bit silly. I didn't mean for these keys to go back to there. Okay, so we got this situation, and I want to check my preferences, because for camera moves, it looks like I'm going to have to... Okay. Let's delete that. I got to redo it. Here's why. Edit. I'm sorry, I meant File, Preferences, Animation. I want to animate the camera on 2s. Normally I leave that at a high number so that all of my keyframe interpolation effectively behaves as if it was all just constant interpolation, meaning like new drawings. There's no interpolating positions from here to there. In other words, you have to manually animate all your keys. Okay, so let's take all and What do we want here? Geez, can you even read it? Is that rotate? Thank you. Rotate and scale. And then here, let's move it back 1. So here, we're going to scale her down a little bit, rotate her back around, and so now what we want to do is take this, Control C, and let's just stick it here. I wish it wouldn't ripple edit that. Yep. Okay. See what happens there. Okay, so now let's animate this. Lever. Alright, so let's pretend, let's just kind of pretend this, the pivot point is her shoulder. Okay, so that's what I'm going for. Now let me stretch this out. Stretch this out. Stretch this out. Go back to the beginning. Okay. I do think her attitude needs to be more intense, but that's okay. We don't have to fix that at this moment. Alright, so that okay. Okay, so now, question is, where do these guys belong? Well, I'm actually thinking I'm going to go back here and let's try it like this. Okay, so now we're going to have to put these guys here, which means I really want to put her here. Okay, which means how did these guys get there? Alright, so we need to have a keyframe here and here so that when the one camera move happens, the other camera move happens. So there's other ways to do it. Obviously you could do it in 3D. I'm just trying to sort of do this in the most simple and intuitive way. Okay, and what I think I'm going to do is put these guys like that, and just to see, it's going to be an exaggerated move here. Okay, sorry. This has to be Control C, Control V. Alright, so this is going to go down to frame 60, so let's just see. Okay. So now 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's go 2. Oh, sorry. Hit the Q key. Okay. I know that's a little bit goofy. Okay. So I'm making a definite creative choice here to not try to be meticulous about the lip sync, maybe being a little loosey-goosier than I sometimes am. And I reserve the right to change my mind. Okay. Let's put the stop marker there. Save it. Okay. All right. So my complaint is, and this goes to show why I should have put the mouth on the separate layer, because now both of these drawings are wrong. Now I can do a cut and paste and make it work, but part of the problem is we don't want our character to lose her appeal by being so angry. But yet, in this situation, she is angry. She's mad. I'm here to tell you. Okay. Now, if we're going to go that route, we got to do a little copy. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it's tempting to consider trying to have that animated noise in her eyes as well, but I really don't think that's probably the greatest idea. S, Control V. Okay, so fortunately it does update all the drawings. These ninjas were trying to kidnap me. Okay, that works. I can't believe it. I can't believe it actually worked. It worked. It worked. Okay, so little sip of the sniffer. How we doing on time? It's been a half hour. Okay, so now what we would be thinking about, I suppose, is ink and paint, right? Okay, before we go to ink and paint though, I think, let me go to the drawing screen so we can actually deal with the drawing. Okay. Got to zoom in. Got to zoom in. There's a headband going on. There's a neck thing. This guy had a little pouchy thing he's carrying around. And frankly, I don't remember if he has anything in his hands, actually. Can you believe that? How can I not remember that? It's like, dude, it's your cartoon. How can you not remember, like, what your characters are doing? Well, yeah. No kidding. Yet somehow I do manage to forget at times. So this guy's okay. Well, I didn't mean to erase quite so aggressively, but that's okay. We're still working with it, man. We're still working. We're still okay. Okay, so he's got the I just want him to look kind of like he's thinking. Now this guy's had a rough day. I'm here to tell you. He's been kicked in the nuts, thrown out the window. Now he has had a bad day. This guy had a bad day. Okay, yeah, so I'm drawing him more, sort of a pencil sketchy sort of way. Allowing myself to enjoy the aesthetic of a pencil drawing, even though I know that the final animation is not going to look anything like that. That's okay. So he's sort of, he's crouching, obviously. The man is crouching! And look, he's got a great big old Jack Kirby style knee right out there in front, man. Right out in front. Dude. It's right out for everyone to see, man. I'm telling you, it's gnarly. Did I just say gnarly in a sentence? I think I did. Yeah, you did, man. And it's cool. It's like totally cool, man. You just don't even realize how cool it is. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, well, other than the fact that his arm looks like it's the arm of, like Swamp Thing or something. Whoops. We need to set this there and shrink. To use George Costanza parlance, we're talking about shrinkage. Shrinkage, I tell you. It's a thing. If you don't know what that means, you're probably too young to know what that means. Okay? So I'm not going to explain it. Alright, so there we go. There's our dudes. Let's go back to this screen. And let's just see what happens. Let's go L key. Okay, guys, I don't want to do ink and paint right now, frankly. Feeling pretty good about this shot, though. I think it's going to be a better shot than what I had. Obviously, I could probably do the ink and paint in such a way that I'm actually... I could actually use the schematic to let these animation keys apply to the ink and paint layer as well. So we're not really losing anything with the extra work. But yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Are you feeling good about it? Because I'm feeling, pretty good about it. Right? Right? So, what I think I shall do... Let's render this and cut it into the show. So the way we do that is we hit Control R. Well, okay, normally we'd hit Control R. But in this case, what we want to do is hit Insert so that we can create a layer and then hit the Fill tool and fill it. Fill it, I say. Oh, it's in freehand mode, sorry. Okay. And we're going to change the color to white. Okay, so why did I do that? Now there's a white backdrop so that it's not just rendered with its alpha channel. Okay, so we'll call this BKGD, which is my universal abbreviation of, well, I think you know what it's the abbreviation of. I can't even talk. What it's the abbreviation of. Okay, so this is Akari. I said the word the and I started typing the word the. Okay, so this is hand, and this is ninjas. So the ninjas are going to be a single static drawing. That's kind of important. And one thing we could do, actually, for illustrative purposes, is we could go ahead and block that up right there and hit Control-C, Control-V, and just add a color here so that at least in rough terms it's colored in. So that way when we crop to the camera view, we'll see, you know, it's, so that'll be good. We will render this and cut it into the show. You know, let's see how it feels before we go to all the trouble of ink and paint, right? So you hit Control-R, which makes it render like really fast. And then I just hit save, save, and I'm waiting for Opentoonz to do something. Hopefully Opentoonz isn't about to explode and cause me to lose hours of work. That would be kind of disappointing. Yeah, it would. That would be a disappointment. Anime, render. Let's go to the render screen and see what we find. Yes, we found it. We found the render folder. Let's go ahead and save into the render folder. I certainly am doing a lot of voices today, aren't I? Well, you know, voices are a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. It's what I do. Remember Yul Gibbons, the spokesman for Grape Nuts? Remember when Grape Nuts came out? If you don't, hearkening back to my earlier comment, it's because you're too young to remember Yul Gibbons. But Yul Gibbons ate grape nuts. He was actually an interesting guy. Look him up. Google Yul Gibbons. I think it's E-U. I think it is E-U-E-L-L, maybe. But he was a naturalist, if you will. Okay, so now in my other screen, I'm pulling up all the renders, see? And so that I can drag and drop it into the show. It looks like it is done rendering. There we go. Remember, save early, save often. You will regret it if you do not. So now we will go back to Blender. And we're doing voices today. I think I'll do Megatron. Yes, Megatron, leader of the Predacons. Yeah, I can do Megatron. I think I can do Optimus Prime as well. You gotta get it really way back in your throat to get the depth of the sound. And you have to almost whisper. Alright, so okay, I don't quite get this, folks. This shot, okay, so I see what's going on. This is Blender being stupid. So I gotta save this, and let's reopen the video edit, and look, now it looks completely normal. You see what didn't work at all a moment ago now works perfectly well. And that's what we find. You see, so I'm morphing from this one voice over to, it would be Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges, you know, he's got a certain way of talking where he always has a certain kind of thing he does with his mouth. Okay, so here we go. I gotta tell you, okay, so now I've just realized, and as I'm sure you have too, the problem here is that we've kind of ruined this joke, haven't we? But not really. I think, actually, I'll tell you what would be funny here. I'll tell you what would be funny. I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to drag this downstream. I can't even believe I'm going to do this, but I actually think this is going to make for better storytelling. I'm actually kind of excited about this idea I've got right now. So I'm going to cut this because I don't need the earlier part of the animatic. And I'm just going to put this shot back in the show. This shot that I removed. So that now so we'll get rid of the stuff we didn't like. And I don't think we need to see her dress fall, actually. So I think we could actually split it right there. So yeah, this is actually changing the edit, but I think it makes the story play better. Because this gives us a second opportunity, and I am going to redraw this, but it gives us a second opportunity to punctuate Zen's attitude. So you might want to take a little glance here. So this shot clearly works better. And then I like this. And he goes like that, and then we come back and we have this little thing right here. The timing of that isn't quite right, but I think I like coming back to the close-up of Zen because it just, like I say, punctuates his vibe in this scene, his character. So anyway, yeah, just want to show you that. So anyway, that's it, folks. That's it. It's cut into the show, and now we're having nothing but fun. Nothing but fun today. Am I right? So, as you guys know, as I often say, there will be more later.